Welcome to week 2, and this is actually our 4th class, and we're still building on moving into the design process. We've done a lot of discovery, research, and a lot of that's going to start coming in play as we continue our planning of our website. This is the design phase, and I know some people have been really looking forward to start designing. And you'll really be happy that you gain the knowledge from the research of learning about customers and competitors and looking at some various websites. So Steve Jobs said that if a user is having a problem, it's our problem. And as a designer and a developer, it is our job to use the website and the interface to solve those problems, and that's what we're going to work on. So now that we're in class 4, we're going to look at producing some sort of mock-ups based on the approved requirements that you have found and discovered, and we're also going to start looking at usability, which is kind of the how people navigate, how usable are the things that you're using, and to get them organized so they can be used in an easy way. And we're going to talk a little bit about user-centered design basics. We're designing for human beings to use technology. So we're going to look at how it affects how a site, it'll come into play to help you build the site. And then we're going to take a tour and going to take a look at a good site and a bad site based on the user experience. And I'm sure you'll agree on the example that I have. You're going to see a difference. And this will open your eyes on planning for your design. Then we're going to talk about visual design basics, as well as we're going to actually move into some prototypes. And I have different ways for us to build. They're a little bit different than the wireframes that you just did. We're moving into more styles, more color, and it's going to be sort of more of a branding of the website. But I wanted to talk a little bit about user experience. And we're going to look at a good site versus a bad site and thinking about the experience of it gives us, because a user and a visitor comes to a website expecting to find it easily. You've got split seconds to capture their attention, to get them off on the journey in the direction that they want at that website. So we're going to have to decide when you make your decisions. You need to think about, is it useful? That's going to come into the features that you add. Is it useful? For example, right now, having a newsletter up there that you don't have the content and you don't expect to have something out there, but people are signing up for it but not getting anything. That's not really useful at this point. So you would want to move on to something that was more useful at the immediate level. And it's, in other words, that it needs to fulfill a need. And then we've got usability. The site must be easy to use. Can you navigate it at a quick glance? Do you know who it is? If they're expecting to land there, is that going to be what they expect to see? Can they find the content that is obviously most important to them? So, and can they navigate to it easily? And desirable. Your images, your identity, your brand, and other image elements, they need to evoke some sort of emotion and appreciation. And you got to be thinking about that when you pick out and lay out the looks of your website. And findable. Content needs to be navigatable and locatable on a site and off-site. So when you send them to a PDF, don't confuse them. They might be thinking more, where's my back button? So don't open it in a new window. So we don't want them to get lost. And accessible. We have to really be considerate. There's a lot of very easy solutions. There's a lot of people with disabilities. Every one of us that wears glasses, I wear glasses, all of a sudden I've got that vision that I don't see so well close up. So, I might be squinting. Things have got to be not buried. It's going to be easy to navigate with people with disabilities, and that's cognitive disabilities as well. So your content can't be, it's got to be readable for everybody. And then creditable. Users must trust and believe what you tell them. So just don't write up some lies that aren't really true. If there's awards, make sure you're labeling, the right kind of awards that you've gotten, and use real testimonials from real people. Become, an expert by writing some blog posts. Find ways that you can really gain the trust. And then we have the user-centered design basics. And this phase is throughout a design and development lifecycle of a web project, all while focusing on gaining a deep understanding of who will be using the product. If you don't understand who the customer and user is, how can you design this product? Even the product or the service that your website's building, you've got to have a really good understanding. And that's what we've been through, a lot of the research that we're using. But now we have to come back to, who is all coming into this website. You got employees, vendors, and different types of area of people. But, we need to really focus on gaining, an understanding of how, as a human, is going to navigate. So you need to keep that in consideration when you're designing and you're laying out features of your website. That even means we have a rule: what's above the scroll, the fold. It's kind of that old print term, but above the scroll, before people scroll, we need to be aware of what's there. If there's something that you push down that might be the more common thing that people want, we need to push it up. But I'll be talking more and more about user-centered design and UX. I just want to touch a little bit on this. So the basics of user-centered design is this sort of cycle of how everything sort of works on a human basis with technology. So you get the specific. Do we need to specify the context of use? We need to know who the people are that will be using this. We don't just design this and put it up there going, wow, this works for me, this is really cool. But you haven't thought it through. I mean, who is using this? And that's why we're learning there are different audiences and segmented audiences. And what are they going to use it for? And under what conditions will they use it? We need to consider that when we're designing our look and feel and laying out everything on the website, and specify the requirements. We need to make sure we are identifying the business requirements as well as the user goals for this product. Yes, it's always for money, but if this service has some, maybe it's a service, but there's a product that needs to be bought with it, we need to make sure equalness is going to both areas, and that the user actually has a use for it, understands what this product is, and can easily find the information on the website. We want to be very successful because that's how we meet the business goals. And then we need to create design solutions as part of the process. It's done in stages and building from a rough concept to a complete design. And a lot of that is so we can step back and look at it. Maybe do a little user testing, but we need to, build, rough concepts so that we can actually think the process through. And then we need to evaluate the designs. Evaluation, ideally through usability testing with real users. In our class situation, show it to your wife, show it to your kids. Down the road, when you do a design, share it with somebody. You've got a coworker or a friend, Have somebody kind of look at it and just, and just kind of look at them and ask them to do something on the page. So if you print out a page of your home page and there's a sign up on it to sign up for a newsletter, just hand them the page and just say, where can you find it, tell me, and point to where you're going to sign up for a newsletter. And then just sort of watch them if it takes them a while, and then ask them what their experience was like. And you can do that with your logo work, the colors, just, get some feedback. It's very good to share and have things evaluated. And all those are just going to make it much user-friendly. So it's a cycle that we have to be considerate of. So talking about the user experience, the user-centered design, I'm now going to go over and we're going to take a couple looks at a couple sites. We'll take a look at this one first. So here we are at this website, Adam 6 Industries, Custom Web Design and Development. Looks pretty nice, pretty simple. There's a couple things for me when I first came here. I immediately wanted to go click on one of these icons. We have strategy, design, development, and maintenance. So I was toying with the design and strategy, but I wanted to know what their strategy was. So I clicked. It's not a link. It doesn't go anywhere. So then, I check the design. No, none of these work. So that in itself was a poor experience because I was really hoping to get to some more information to see how they worked. And so then my next thing was, well, I'm not ready to start a project because I don't know enough about them. And so I'm thinking I have this. Oops, this does something. So I'm going to click this arrow and see what it does. That brings me to featured work. Okay. So, it's up here. It's the work. This does stuff. Visit website. So, well, it doesn't click on anything. All I can do is visit website. Not really going anyplace. That's kind of frustrating. Okay, I was hoping to get something. Well, I'll go back here. Okay. So I was hoping to learn about if this is featured work. It's bringing me to a website. I didn't like that. Well, I'm gonna go home. Well, it doesn't seem. I'm gonna just scroll at this point. Oh, I just was there. Okay, now that's the bottom of the website. It's not. There isn't any information. We have home, we have work, contact. Send us a message. Does anybody see what I'm feeling? There isn't anything. Well, let me go up now. I'll start the project. Let me see if I can get maybe some more information about this company, how they work. No. So this is a pretty site. It's a nice looking site, but there isn't any information, and it's really not giving me about their process. Why do I want to get in touch with them? So I'm going to move on. I'm not getting enough information. So there's some things to think about in the process of what works and what doesn't. You have to be careful about icons. These should link to their strategy and link to the design process instead of using these just up here. And they have no content. These should break out into an information of what they did for this website and not just go to the website. So that was a pretty poor experience because I really I got nothing. There was nothing, not enough information, and I don't really feel like emailing them. So let's go on and we'll look at another site and see how that looks. Okay, we're now going to look at another website after looking at the other one and realize that it didn't meet our expectations, or at least it didn't mine. Now, first glance, I mean, this is a very appealing, nice open. I'm kind of checking out this slider for a minute. Websites that look great on all your devices. And okay, just coming from the other one, I'm like, I want to find out about services. And am I going to be able to do that here? Ah, yes. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit small and soft, but I can read it. She's got, some stuff. Oh, WordPress. Yeah, so this gave me some content I was really looking for. And now I would like to go back to the home page. Oh, it needs to work. Well, our site was nice, but I'm clicking on these photos, and I kind of wanted to do some more, but more examples of our work is down here. So I was kind of hoping those pictures would bring me someplace, but they weren't really, doing that. So now we're at the website portfolio. So, some of these images in this portfolio use place on it, maybe more creative before like okay. So it's not showing me the detail I want to know in the work. I mean, the home page gave me their services, and this doesn't tell me the work. I can't see it close up enough. This site's better than the last site. I get to actually see more work. I'm not going to a website, but I kind of wanted to know what this company did for each of these. None of these pictures link. So that's the usability. It's not meeting my expectations. Does a portfolio do anything different up here? No, it just brings me to this page. So, so that's, I can kind of come through so that's the difference of an expectation. You can do a so-so job. This one's a so-so job, but it's not giving me what I would like to learn about them. This is a different way, a picture of a website on a device. It doesn't really tell the story. Yes, she has services, overview, she has WordPress training, professional logo design, but so those are things to think about when you're actually designing a site, how the user's going to kind of feel. And I definitely would like to link and have a little more detail on the work on this page. But the home page was better. It provided the experience that I wanted until it came to the work. So that is that experience. So going forward with your designs and your layouts, be thinking about that. Really think if that is where somebody would look, and there's so much navigation within a site. Not just this is your navigation. It's also, what do they expect when I see this? What do they want to click on? Is it the image? And see, this does both the words and the images, which is correct. But she should have given more information on her website. So those were the tour of two sites. Now that we've looked at sort of some experiences on a good site versus, a bad site, you're probably going to have a whole new look at how you navigate the web. Because and you're going to realize you're not frustrated. You'll find some sites that really weren't planned out really well because things weren't placed where they were supposed to be and where you expect them to be. And that's the thing about designing for the best user experience. And that's why I've had you go through the exercises of kind of learning a little bit about the industry and a little bit about who your customers are. So we're going to go over some of the visual design basics, which focuses on the aesthetics of the site and its related materials by, kind of implementing images, colors, fonts, and other elements. Yes, we're getting into the design stage. And, a successful visual design does not take away from the content, okay? We can't have it all flashy things and just clutter it with images. It needs to be organized. The page, and the page's function has a purpose, and we can't take away from it. And we need to just enhance it by engaging users and helping to build trust and interest in the brand. And so some of the basic elements of visual design, the basic elements that combine to create visual designs include some of the following, and actually the following. So, simple, we've got lines, shapes, color palette, texture, your typography, and your form. I mean, all of this are the types of the elements that give the visual appeal to your site without taking away from the content. Your lines help separate or connect various areas by dividing it up and creating maybe textures or groupings. And then you have containers, which are your shapes. And the shapes could be just how you organize it, because a web page is built in a grid system. So you're going to utilize that grid, which is the columns and the squares. And those areas are going to be used for different graphics and the different differences. You use differences in values to separate those out, or the texture. And then you have your color palette. And this combination creates depth. It adds emphasis, and you can use that in your typography. And you've got your color and your photography, and as for your images. These choices, psychologically impact your users, and that's why you might want, depending on your audience, vibrant, bright colors, or they could be more subdued and something more calming. So your color palette is very important. And then the texture refers to how the surface feels, and depending on how a texture is applied, it may be used strategically to attract or deter attention. So be aware of, sitting back when you might think something's kind of cool, look at everything around it. And your font choices, which is your typography, how you align it, the colors you use, even the spacing. And that's between the line spacing and the letter spacing. Readers can't read long lines of text. And you can't cram really tiny text in there either. The eyes are going to go right over it. So you really need to find that right balance. And the form applies to the dimensional objects. And it may be created by combining two or more shapes, and can be further enhanced by different tones, textures, and color. So now the principles for creating a visual design. A successful visual design effectively brings elements together in a way that makes sense. So you have unity, organization, space, hierarchy, balance, contrast, scale, dominance, and similarity. So this is all of this you need to really take in consideration to use with the basic elements that we just talked about previously. So, visual design must strike a balance between unity and variety to avoid a dull or overwhelming design. So that conceptual, how it all balances together is important. And your organization, if the design elements are arranged properly, the organization of the overall design will be very clear. So this helps users perceive the overall design as opposed to an individual elements. And space is defined when something is placed in it. Incorporating space into a design helps reduce noise, increase readability, and or create illusion. And white space, it's your friend. It's a very important part of your layout. Don't be afraid to overuse it. Hierarchy shows the difference in significance between items. Designers often create hierarchies through different font sizes, colors, and placement on the page. Usually, items at the top are perceived as most important. So, on web pages, you're going to learn more about an H1, H2, H3 tags. And then you have your paragraphs. And H1s are most important. They're usually your page title, which is the name of your page. And then the main headlines that your users first read are usually an H2. There'll be like the boldest text on the page. And then you'll have a sub text, headline text with, which would be an H3. And then your smallest will be your paragraph. And so your browsers use those for those with disabilities of importance. So they'll key in on an H2 tag first to let them know what the content is to come next. And down the line, then they'll go to the 3 or whatever. So if they're using what's called a screen reader, that's how it will read through it. It's also how Google kind of surfs and checks things out. And it'll be comparing your H2 tags and see if there's any keywords that might be within the body content in your paragraphs. But hierarchy is very important. And of course, balance. This does not always imply that there is symmetry, but it creates, the perception that there is some equal distribution. You don't want to go too heavy on one side or too heavy up top, because if you make it too heavy or too bold in certain areas and you're not meaning to draw attention to it, it's not going to work. And then we have contrast, which really helps items stand out, using different sizes for your fonts, promoting different colors, using some sort of directional images. Will basically, add a little more contrast. And then you've got your scale. This creates interest and depth by demonstrating how each item relates to each other based on size. So scale, you don't want lots of huge photos all over the page. That just is not going to be good. So we want to scale things appropriately and get that, and that will draw back to the right balance. And the dominance, this is often done through scaling and contrasting based on size, color, position, shape, etc. Which focuses on having one element as the focal point and others being more subdued. So depending on your focus on the page and the content. And similarity, is creating the continuity through a design without direct duplication. So similarity is used to make pieces work together over an interface and help users learn the interface quicker. That comes back to the usability it's got to be understandable when you use similarities and comparisons. So that with the basic elements are things to think about as we start to design. We're going to look at now moving into more of a prototype, which I use. Style prototypes is something, this is an example of one. This is a simple one. This is just the colors using sort of the similar fonts on the page, so you can see kind of what bold, larger, not bold, paragraph, extending colors. And it's also giving the colors. Just so you know, we use with hex colors for web pages, and CMYK is for print, and RGB is for viewing on the screen. Most of all your photos will be in an RGB format, and the hex will be using for putting color telling objects what the colors are. But the reason why we prototype things is can potentially save a lot of hours. It also brings your client into the process, because this is what they're gonna understand this the most, and this will become their branding, and this is how we're going to keep the site using the right color, the right look and feel. This will become the permanent part of the brand. And it speeds up production. If you go right into building pages, it's gonna be so much work to go back and take and move the colors out. This is gonna define how we set it up. So you're gonna be comfortable and confident when you start building pages. You know, what color the headlines are going to be, secondary subheadings, and we can get that all plugged in pretty easily. So this is sort of a roadmap of our look and feel. So we have a style prototype. This is a style tile. This one is a little bit more detailed. Has a logo in it. The types of imagery that's going to be in this. This is more of a historical website. And so imagery. So the style tile is not to plan out a full mock-up. This isn't a full mock-up because it's not actually the web page. We're using genetic, text and some headline stuff. It's just a roadmap to help us reach that destination. And these, they don't replace sitemaps or wireframes. They come afterwards, so that we can start building the actual the web page after the stage, and to get the client, the business we're working for, to sign off. And you'll feel comfortable that you don't have to go back and redesign stuff. So this is great for generating ideas and gluing the pieces together. So what do you include in a prototype? It's a very vital part of the site planning. It's going to pull everything in that you've pulled together. So you want a branded header, with a logo. You want to show what a headline or subheadline looks like. A paragraph style, button style. You can do hover transitions or not, but you don't have to. Maybe a link treatment. What color the links are. If you kind of scatter that in, it gives a look of what the page is. Include the types of icons and illustrations, photo styles, and any graphic patterns or textures. You can do a little simple navigation and some little UI elements for e-commerce or social networking that you think you're going to use in there. You can put those in there. It just really helps with the look. So the first prototype, I'm going to give an option, is to use an online app called Canva. This is a really nice drag and sort of drop program. If you don't have Photoshop, this is a tool you would be using. It's pretty easy to use. I've already created this video that I'm going to show for you as a step through, so that you can set up your own design tile or prototype of a basic mock-up of your website. So I will just play this. Hi, I'm going to show you quickly how you can make a prototype or a style tile for your website. This is part of the initial planning to get the design, just a generic look, and your colors and your types and your fonts that you're going to be using. So when you set up your Canva account, you should be coming to here. If not, you should just create a design. If you click on this, it brings you to this page. We're just going to use the US letter size, so click on the US letter. You come up with this blank page. Over here, we have layouts. I'm going to avoid this because it's going to force you into a layout. We're going to stick with a blank page. We're going to click on Elements, and let's go up and do a photo. And there's paid photos and free photos. You just want to pick a photo that you want. I'm going to size this to the full width. You just get one that works, and you can come up here and crop it. So I'm going to, I want to use just this part of this image. Hit check, and then just pull this up here. I'm just going to get a feel of our website. I'm going to come back over to text. And because we're doing a website, the hierarchy is we're going to do a headline, add a subheading, and this would represent your paragraph. So click on headline, click on add subheadline, see how it drops one in, and a bit of text. Okay. I'm going to go separate these out. You just grab this one, and put them in this order because this is the order you use them on your page. Now if you notice this little line comes, see, that means it's centered. So I'm going to grab this one, I'm just going to center them. Centered. I'm going to use, like to use this sans serif, so I'm going to go all the way down the bottom. The Sans Pro, I changed that. I'm going to change this. Just, you can play as much as you want on these fonts. You can really find a lot of options here. And I'm going to do I want to do a slab, and you can come up and change size. Okay. So I've just set up fonts. I'm going to stick with, I'm not going to choose that yet. We're going to bring in some color. I'm going to come back over to elements. I'm going to click on frames, shapes. These are going to become your site's color palette. So we're going to just shrink down this, and I'm going to copy it. Same thing, I'm going to center it. Now I can copy it, center, copy it. I usually have at least 4 colors for a website, up to 5. I'm going to have whatever my fonts represent, the 5th one. So for color, when I click on this, click up on this little box. We can use some pre-selected colors here for the next one. But I don't like any of these, so we're going to click on the plus sign. We're going to move this down to get a little more vibrant, and we're going to move this to choose some colors. I'm liking that green, but I want a little brighter, maybe. There, okay. Click. Next here, we're going to find another complementary color. This is a good way to look at your color choices, what you think looks good. I want a maroon. I want it a little bit brighter. Okay. And now I'm going to use, I want to get a soft gray right there. Now I'm going to go back and get another photo. Like this will load up. Just find something in here free that just might, you might want to just play around with. Color tones if you want. I mean, this is as simple as you actually need to be. If you want to play with backgrounds, these get expensive, so I put a background in. You can be just as fancy as that. And this would be perfectly fine. We could copy this. If you wanted to put it up here, change some fonts, give it a little logo look, and there you go. You've got a style, a prototype of your website. Just a little look and feel, and some colors, and some fonts. You can get a little more carried away, but this is as simple as you need to go, and gives you a little idea of the tools that Canva has. So have good luck playing around with that. Okay, creating a prototype in Canva is a good way for the rest of you students that don't have a access or are comfortable with your skill sets of using Photoshop. And the next tool is for those that do want to use Photoshop. This is a PSD file. It's a layered file. You can go over and get that. It'll be with the assignment. You can download it, and I'm going to show you the website to do a little more reading on it. And I'm going to actually go over in Photoshop and kind of step you through this. And the template sort of looks like this. I'm also going to give you one of my templates if you wanted something that's a little bit different. And let me go over and show you that. And just remember, in the assignment, you can either create this type of a tile or as a prototype, or build a prototype in Canva. One or the other is fine. And I just want to give you the options because there's various skill sets in the class. So let me go over to Photoshop and see how this is put together. Okay, I'm over at the Styles Tile website. I just want to kind of review just a little briefly for everyone because some of this information will help you with your prototype, whether you use the Photoshop template style tile, which I'm at the website of information. And this website will be with the homework assignment so that you can click on it. Because you're going to want to come here. You can download the template here or down at the bottom of the page. Where was it? There's a download here. So you'll get your template from here. I just wanted to give a review of, that this is just a visual design process. It's a deliverable. It helps build the confidence that you've reached a really good understanding with your client of the project, so that you're going to get the look and feel and pull in the branding. Because the client you work with may already have its branding. You incorporate that in to make sure that you are correct, the colors are correct. And this is sort of in the middle. A mood board, if you haven't, it's really sort of a sketched out thing with some colors and not much in it. And a style tile is a little more detail. And a mock-up is actually really what the page looks like. And you'll be able to do like a little bit before you build too many pages once you get into your content management system. So you use these to use a lot of the information you've already had that we've done in this class. And you're gonna sit down. You're gonna look at some of the answers you got within your questionnaire, and then you're going to kind of break it down with some of the client feedback. And we just use this. Also has the elements of design and the principles of design. And you're going to utilize some of the shapes, the patterns, the space textures, and balance, harmony, and what you're going to emphasize. And that's your color choices. But you can read. This is a good read. I would have you just sort of look over this. And it's easy to go back because this is going to be a layered file to change and tweak it. I find that I very rarely have to tweak this that much. This just really gets the client or in the business you're working for on board. So that you can read through a lot of this. It's just very simple, not a lot there. And remember to come here. I think you can download from here the template or down at the bottom at this big blue button there. And you'll have that for your Photoshop. So right now I'm in Photoshop. This is the template that you would download from the website we were just looking at. This has an awful lot of extra grids in it. If you'd like to turn these off, you can. They're here for a reason. I would actually add a few more in, which I will show you my template. I've just kept mine minimal just to keep things locked in space here. I can provide this template as well. If you go up here and we look at the layers and take a look, everything's pretty much labeled. If people don't know what the layers are, you can see what this is. This was the header, so that's the header area. These are the buttons that the color of the buttons that were for this site. These are the adjectives. And notice the adjectives. I just use some fonts that give them some sort of feeling, whether I would use this style font or not. But just it just shows how the type of font you use with the word can make the two really be powerful. And but this is set up as if this was the H2 tag. You know, the font, I put the name so I know what it is. I know what the color, the hex, this is a hex color, hex colors that are all here. What's nice when I'm building the website, I can reference to this client. I can pull this right up, these numbers. I don't have to go researching and looking for them, but it gives you just a feel, the types of images that are going to be in here as well. The template here, you can use this. You know, you can clear the guides and start from scratch when you download it. But this is all set up as the header, and within here you've got all your elements to play with. You know, this is just, you know, the naming of this template. The logo is here, which is in a folder. So you could put a logo in there if you wanted. There's a lot of stuff that goes with this. But you can play with it. Those that are pretty good with Photoshop. So this is what you can work with, and I will give you both of these to see if you want to feel more comfortable. This one's stripped down just black and white, which I actually started mine with this. As you can tell, they're a very similar look, but I customized it to what I wanted to use. So I will have both of these. And if you're confident with Photoshop, you should have a little fun with this, and yeah, play around with it. If you're frustrated, you can go do something similar like this into the Canva that we just previewed before too. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this class. I just want to do a quick review over the assignment for you guys to do is to create a style photo type or a style tile to conceptualize the design space for your website. Now take a look at what maybe features you might have made a note of that you liked in some other sites, or go back if there were some websites that you liked and took a look at them. But we're going to make these because these are a very flexible starting point that's going to define a style to communicate the web in a way that your client will understand it. This will really save when you actually do a web page up. It's a lot harder to change this on a real web page. But this look and feel and of what we're going to be working with is a good way just to sign off on, the start of the design. And you can use this to create new branding for the company. They might want to carry some of this over to their print. And it becomes their style standards. It's just, that will be followed throughout the website while you're building or updating and adding to the website later. So the choices were two ways to do this. Is you could have used the Canva or the Photoshop PSD file. And one is, simpler drag and drop, which is a Canva. And for those that have the expertise and really would like to use a style tile in Photoshop, they can do that. And pretty much, that's it for the class. Canva.com is where you go to use the Canva. It's a free, it doesn't cost you anything. And Style Tiles is the other site to get a little more information on Style Tiles and to download the PSD file for Photoshop. So let me know if you have any questions. Shoot me an email. Good luck, guys.